The sheer purpose of this series of videos, miracles in our DNA, hospital records, evidence, and people on the streets and real life experiences. That's what we're talking about here. Have you heard about the woman picking up a car? She ran over her own child, and in a panic attack, in fight-flight mode, she got out of the car and she picked up the car, the rear wheel, with one hand and pulled her own son out with the other. All my life, ever since I was a kid, I've known about miracles like this. In front of Gale's shops one day, right, a guy got run over by a car right in front of the shop. I saw this with my own two eyes, and I wasn't the only one. There's a lot of people that saw this at the same time. Now, this guy was a big fella, okay? Admittedly, this guy was a big fella, but it didn't matter. He walked over to a VW and picked up the rear end, right, straight up into midair, and got someone to drag that person out. He picked it right up completely off the ground. That's where the engine sits in the back. The most astonishing part is, we were talking about this after we knew the guy. He tried to pick up the car 5 minutes later. He couldn't pick up the car. He could only do it in that moment, in fight-flight mode, in that emergency. He could not pick up the car after. My wife, Maren, her mother, grandmother, is nearly double her body weight. She fell out of a hospital bed, unconscious. And in fight-flight mode, my wife bent over and picked her straight back up and put her back on the bed. And the nurses was blown away, because if she tried to do that with dead body weight, nearly double her body weight, it's impossible. And she knows that. It happened to her. And these miracles, I know another story of a guy at work. This is on news. This was actually on mainstream media as a miracle. A guy at work, at a workplace, right? A massive beam fell down on top of him, right? And it was more than 1 ton lying on top of him. Another guy came across when the accident happened and picked this beam up and threw it off his legs like it was nothing. Yet he couldn't touch that beam. He couldn't move it with not a millimeter. That's why it's on mainstream media as a miracle. And I've seen a few miracles like this on news before. It wasn't the only one. But they're getting more and more rare every day. You see, back in the 60s and the 70s, we used to see a lot of these things. We didn't have a social media platform. You know what else we used to see? Spoon benders, clock minders, mental telepathy, ESP, remote viewing, telekinesis. We saw a lot of these people in the streets, at shopping centres, at shows, spoon benders and clock minders, mental telepathy, and levitation. People who can levitate things. Where are they today? We've got social media platform with over double the amount of population, and we are connected more than ever, and we can't see any of these people. Where are they now? There was thousands of them in the 60s and the 70s. Where are they now? Where are those people that harness that kind of power with mental telepathy, ESP, remote viewing, and can also start fire with their hands? I put up a video on my timeline about 4 weeks ago about such a guy who can start a fire with his hands. And I put up a lot of videos like Bruce Lee, who could also do the 5-inch punch and someone flew back 6 meters, and a 1-inch punch and they flew back 2 meters. He could also beat 2 World Open tennis players, world champions, 2 of them at the same time, and beat them with a pair of nunchucks and that kind of precision. He could also throw up a grain of rice and catch it with a pair of nunchucks. And when you understand the masterminds where they can do things like this, there's not many left today. But I'm recorded as one of the biggest masterminds in the world that can do these things. So I know that better than anyone. I can use my biosphere and my 27 senses with all these abilities. The window to your soul is your third eye, the vision that tells you 1,000 words are going to lie to you. Dimensional thinking, remote viewing, telekinesis, and all these abilities we can see in the past and in the future. As I said, I told my mum about the worst moment of her life in 1943 in World War II, 17 years before I was born. I was 75 years old, and she shit herself. Right? I can predict the future in this book perfectly. This has become rock solid evidence that can also see into the future, like deja vu. When you have deja vu, you don't even know what's going on. You're blocked in your mind so much, you don't know the truth here. Sometimes when you have deja vu, if you say deja vu when it happens, sometimes a person sitting next to you will say, wow, I had deja vu as well. How did you know? Well, we met each other in a dream 6 months ago, or 5 months ago, or 4 months ago. And I saw into the future. I saw you in my dream and saw the future. That's where we meet in a dimensional field. The light bulb here, the picture of 1,000 words. That's why you know, but you don't know. Because you have amnesia, I don't. You can't use your biospheres. You can't explain this in any way, shape or form. But you're all familiar with deja vu because you can relate to it. And it's a quantum mechanical relation with your own DNA to think instinctively. So you can use your instincts 1 to 5%. And you have 95 to 99% again, which I have abilities to use 100% of my mind and using these abilities, right? Very powerful. And we call them miracles, and I explain them the best, and that's why I do these videos. Okay, that's why I'm doing these videos, to give you faith that you are created in your bloodline to do what I can and more, and these are facts. I've been declared dead 3 times. I brought someone back to life 3 times with peer reports, and the most powerful poem written in 2003, the one and only. She reflects that in her own words. And my wife, I'd known her for about 6 months, only about 6 months. She'd been raped by her dad. I didn't know. She kept it to herself. One night she took a drug overdose, enough to kill 50 people. She flatlined. I was on the phone with emergency. They told me straight up, they said, look, with the medication she took enough to kill 50 people. And I have to be honest with you. We had a person die last night, was only 18 years old, very fit, and didn't take anywhere near that amount. In fact, that person only took 175 milligram. Your wife took 50 of these tablets, plus all the other medication. So we're going to do what we can. We've got a paramedic around the corner. They're flat out on the way to your doorstep right now. We'll do everything we can to save her. But I've got to be honest with you. I have to be deadly honest and serious with you, right? I have to tell you, we'll give a 0% chance of living, but we'll do what we can. She flatlined in that moment, and the paramedics pulled in, and then came to straight away, and we rushed to Ipswich Hospital. When she got to Ipswich Hospital, they were working on her frantically in emergency with 7 doctors and nurses around her, frantically pumping her stomach. I was sitting there, right? Okay, in one of the worst moments of my life. Honestly, the most terrifying moment of my life in that moment. I'd been married once before and regretted it very much, and she was the first love of my life. Okay? And I was sitting there like this, right? Like this. I didn't believe in the Bible, never went to church, didn't get brought up like that, but I sat there and I thought, man, if you exist up there, whatever you do, don't take it away from me. Take anything off you we want, but don't take her away from me. Don't take her away from me. When she flatlined the second time, she flatlined. And this is, I am frantically inside myself. I'm sitting here, right, like this, and I'm thinking, oh God, don't take her away from me, for God's sake. If you exist, take anything off me, but not her. Boom. Her body lifted 8 inches off the bed, one end to the other. And the doctors and the nurses flew back like this. But her heart monitor came back on. Right? So they pumped her stomach frantically and kept on working frantically. And I'm sitting there tense as anything. You know, tense as anything. I think, wow, she came back to life, but God, this is twice. This is twice she's flatlined. Then it happens again. And it didn't just happen twice, it happened 3 times. And she lives to tell the story and wrote the most powerful poem in 2003, the one and only, that made #1 worldwide. And she reflected in her own words. In her own words, she says, I'm the one and only that brought her back to life. 7 peer reports on my DNA file, recorded with my evidence. They say, this is one of the most powerful miracles they've ever seen in life. And the biologist says, look, Kim, your wife reflects it in her own words. And we're going into this study, right, about things we can't explain in the biggest DNA study done, right, the biggest evidence of mental health research. And they said, Kim, you're one of a kind that has these abilities. You've been clinically dead 3 times, but you brought her back to life. And we know that for a fact. We're looking into miracles, and we have 7 peer reports that states they had never seen anything like this. And everyone in match, they had no idea what's going on. But Kim, we know it was you. Because it's reflected by your own wife, right, in that poem in 2003. I was separated from her in 2001, and I didn't even know. The most powerful poem in 2003, the one and only for 8 months. And it reflects I have the divine power to bring him back to life. That's a powerful miracle, no matter how you choose to look at it. Come to my Witness Bible page, the Street Wisdom page, and Wisdom Bible page. Watch my videos and follow my timeline. Like and share, please, guys.